Hey, Jason.
Hey, this is Jack Russell.
Jack Russell. Yeah, how
Hey,
you doing, man?
very good. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. It's a
That's
really great
good.
day for me.
So Jack Russell's Great White's got a new album out today.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah, it's pretty exciting, man. Yeah.
He saw it coming. Where's this title coming from?
Well, that's it's about when I was a child. When I was I was 5 years old, and actually I wanted to be an archaeologist. That was my dream, and that was what I was going to be. And for my sixth birthday, my parents bought me an album called The Beatles' Help.
Okay.
And I put this record on my little record player. I don't know if you're familiar with those, and then I'm not sure how old you are. So, but it was a little box, with a.
I've seen him, yeah.
Okay, you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
So I put it on, and this sound came out of this thing that was just like, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. This was pivotal in my life. All of a sudden, I just knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is what I was going to do for a living.
And you
And
accomplished it.
I just followed that dream, and I followed the course, and I just knew that it was going to happen. So I saw it coming. I knew that it was going to be that way.
And we can see in the
So,
your video too.
pardon me?
We can see in your video also some of the times, right now everything makes sense the way you're talking about this.
Yeah. So it's really weird. I mean, where life took me. You know what I mean? It's just we ended up moving somewhere, and then there was a guy that played guitar that lived behind me, and I started singing with him, and then that led to a band, which led to another band, that led to another band, that led to Mark Kendall, and we got together and started what became Great White. And it's just everything just fell into place.
And with that, Jack, it just ended up always were a great singer. It wasn't
Thank
just
you.
a regular singer here. You're a special singer, with the voice. Still going good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I still feel good. My voice feels really good. I'm really fortunate, that I'm able to do what I do, and I'm very blessed. And, it's a total gift. And I thank God every day, that He's letting me borrow this, you know, because it's definitely on loan, I mean, He could take away anytime He wants, you know.
Yeah.
I've learned that. I've beaten the hell out of myself, through drugs and alcohol, and it's definitely taken its toll on me. But I got sober finally again about a year and a half ago, and it was one of those things where I ended up in a coma for 5 days with my liver almost completely shut down. The doctor told me, if you do this again, I guarantee that you will die because you will not survive another one of these. So that was it for me. I'm like, okay, well, it'd be kind of silly to keep drinking, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It's like I don't want to die. I'm not going to put a gun to my head and pull the trigger. It would just amount to the same thing. So I'm not going to do it. So
Wow.
and my life is way better for it. The song "My Addiction," I wrote that about my life and the way I see things. And it was that was during a time before I was sober. I mean, and I wrote that about how painful it is to be an addict and an alcoholic.
And going into, writing a song, on these subjects, certainly personal subjects, does it come in natural or, you got to start thinking back, and saying, wow, how am I going to put this together?
Um, things just come out. I don't know where they come from. I think that every record, every lyric I've written has been a snapshot of where I am at that moment in my life. What I'm thinking about, what I'm doing, where am I in my life? What phase am I going through? Is it a happy phase? Is it a sad phase? You know, that's pretty much what it is. And this record, you know, shows a bit of both. You know, it's kind of like there's some happy songs, there's some fun songs, and you know, and then there's some really tear jerking tunes. You know, I mean, there's one in particular, you know, Anything for You. That's, you know, I've seen a lot of grown men, you know, just start bawling when they hear that song. You know, I was crying when I sang. I was crying when I wrote it. You know, it was just you know, it's a really deep song. You know, about a subject that we all don't like to think about. You know.
When songs do that to you, it means it's powerful.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, Jack, you're mentioning, the Beatles, your first influence, with the album Help. Today, would you say it's the similar type of feel in music? We're releasing more singles than like, albums at first.
Yeah, it's really strange. I mean, how things have kind of gone back to that. You know, but you know, it is what it is, and you know, there's nothing I can do to change it. You know, if there was, I would. I wish there was more record. I wish there was record stores, and you know, because people are never going to feel that excitement. You know, that haven't been, you know, around when there were record stores to feel that excitement of standing in line overnight. You know, what I mean, sitting there on the sidewalk with a blanket, you know, in front of the store, waiting for them to open up so you can get your next release, the new release of Led Zeppelin or something. You know, and getting the record and riding your bike home as fast as you can, and get in your room and you gently razor blade the shrink wrap open, and you gingerly take it out of the sleeve, out of the cover, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you take it out of the inner sleeve and you read all the liner notes. You know, you read every single word on the page, and you turn it over, and there's either a picture or something. You just stare at it, and then you put the album on. You gently put it on the turntable, and you know, pick up the needle really, you know, and you softly set it down. You hear that crackle of the vinyl, and then you're like waiting to hear what's going to come out, and all of a sudden you're just into this whole different world, you know. It's amazing. It was a whole process. It was like a religious experience, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And nowadays it's like, oh, I just download it, ping, push a button. And it's like, God, there's no ceremony, and I believe that was part of the thing, you know, was you were really treating it like it deserves to be treated. It's kind of like taking communion in a way, you know.
Yeah.
It made it so much more special and intimate, you know, for the listener.
I
You
mean,
know, nowadays it's
yeah.
like shove it in, let me hear it, you know.
Oh, yeah.
What's your favorite band today? You know,
Yeah.
it's like,
It's like that. I come from the cassette era, late 80s, and, vinyl was
right,
going away. But, I mean, you still go to the record store and buy your cassettes,
yeah,
and
buy CDs and stuff. Yeah, exactly.
it could it be, the attention span of, kids today is just not as what we had it, or
No, not at all. There's no attention. The public has a really short attention span these days. It's crazy. I mean, because everything's so fast. You know, there's like you get a cell phone, it you know does everything but scratch your back. You know what I mean? And then the next week there's something better. It's like we're constantly just like buying, throwing away, buying, throwing away, buying, get a new one, buying, get a new. It's like God, it's just going so fast. You might as well not even buy one. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
it's like you buy it and a week later it's outdated. You got that old thing? What do you mean old thing? It's brand new next week. I mean last week. You know, it's like God. Everything is, it's like a song is a sign of the times, man. You know, everything is just shifted. There's no conversation anymore. It's just text. Let's just text them because it's so much easier than actually calling somebody and having an in-depth conversation where you might have to spend 20 minutes talking to somebody. Oh my God, you know, that wouldn't give me enough time. You know, then I have no time to do something else like text a million people. You know.
I mean, let's look in 30 years from now. How will interviews be conducted? You know.
Oh God, probably like hologram or something. You know what I mean? Everybody just sits in you just a hologram. You know what I mean? You've got the questions already posted to the person, and you just get a holographic image in their wherever they're at. You know, just programmed to answer the questions that the guy's already answered. You know, on recording. And he's already answered all the questions, and then they just put them out to the interviewers, and they say something, and the computer figures out what question it was and what answer it is, and they put that answer with the question. you know.
So that's not too good, in a sense. But wow.
So it's scary, man. I
Yeah.
mean, it's scary, I mean, for me, I don't mind. I've done what 40 or 50 interviews in the last week.
It's quite a bit.
I like 17 today. I mean, every half hour I've got an interview till 7 o'clock, and I started at 11. So I don't mind, doing that many interviews because they're all, they're going to be different, regardless of whether they're the same in a lot of respects. They're going to be different. It depends on the questions I'm giving. Like this interview is definitely different than the last one I did, which was definitely different than the one I did before that. So it's really weird.
It's like that with interviews. I mean, you do so many interviews when an album comes out. Is it much work for you to get into an interview subject, Jack Russell?
No, it really isn't. I get to talk about my favorite subject, me.
That's good.
No, I never mind. Like I said, I try to be more transparent with every record. I want people to really know who I am. You know, and good and the bad.
Few more questions here. Like Sign of the Times video, I think is very good. I mean, the projections you get, displayed in the video, adds a different texture that nobody's doing today. Even it's all green screen. Nobody's doing projections like you did in this video, Sign of the Times. How
Right.
where your ideas came from this or come from this.
That was actually the producer that did the video. I mean, he did everything. It was amazing. We shot the video in 3 hours, and he had this projector that he had bought, this old time projector, and it came with all these slides. So he just threw them all over the floor, randomly put them here and there, and he made me just put slide in, take them out, put a slide in, take them out, and then later on in production, he took a bunch of shots from the slides that he liked, and he somehow put them on the wall, the white walls that we had, because everything was white in the room, and he had those superimposed on the back walls, and when the shots were walking around looking at the walls, and I'm pointing at the wall, there was nothing up there. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It was really weird doing that. You could just pretend you're looking at just something. You're just kind of walking around looking at, pictures. And so, it was funny. And then when we saw it, I was like, this is brilliant. I remember I told him, I go, we should film the band in black and white and then use the color for the slides. He goes, that's a good idea. I'm so glad we did because it's so much more impactful.
Yeah. And going to the band members in this album for like people that don't recognize them or know who they are. Who are they?
Well, they're all veterans. I mean, Tony Montana is obviously from Great White, from the Once Bitten, Twice Shy, Hook days. He plays guitar instead of bass. And Dickie Fleazar is a drummer. Robbie Lochner, and Dickie Fleazar came from Bruce Dickinson. Robbie Lochner came from Rob Halford's Fight. And Dan McNay, the bass player, came from Ronnie Montrose.
Powerful
And Jack
people.
Russell, who knows where he came from?
I don't know. Well, that's a good crew you got there.
Yeah, I mean they really are, and they're really good guys, and they make a really a tight unit, and they're all good friends. And it took me a while to get it all together. I mean, I went through quite a few people, until I decided this was the right band. It was it didn't just come together right away. I mean, Robbie and I have been together since the very beginning, but along the way we changed members because it just didn't feel right. And when we got Dan McNay in the band, the bassist, I was like, okay, this is the band. Now let's start recording.
Good. Now, Jack, health of rock music today. How do you look at it? In the whole world of rock music, how is it in your eyes?
Oh, it's pretty much, well, our kind of rock and roll, our kind of rock and roll is, definitely still viable. I mean, there's a lot of people that want to come out and I guess maybe feel nostalgic you know, and kind of relive their glory days or their high school days, or you know, just hear the songs that were the soundtrack of their lives, you know.
Mhm.
And so people, you know, it's still really good for us, you know what I mean? Um, you get packages together, and you know, you can fill up an arena. You know, it's amazing. Um, and you're seeing the amazing thing to me is seeing the generations, the multi generational impact that our music had. You know, what I mean, like people going, "Oh yeah, my dad was always playing your stuff, and we just love it." You know, it's so weird because that'd be like me going to a Frank Sinatra show and go, "Yeah, my dad played your music. I just love it." You
Uh-huh.
know,
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Frank Sinatra. I love his singing, but it's not like I would be in line to go see a concert. You know.
Yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and these
My
questions
pleasure, man.
very
I
good.
really enjoyed it, bro.
Hey, well, thank you very much, and keep up the great work. It's very good to see you, Frontiers Records. Certainly with this Sign of Times video, looking cool,
Thank you.
sounding good, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it, brother.
And you have a great
You take
Friday.
care, huh?
You too.
Thank you. You too.